There's still Africa Update on Trust TV, and I'm your host, Chiamaka Nwanfor. Now, this week on the program, we'll be looking at the President Tinubu's Independence Day speech and other happenings on the African continent. Now, Tinubu asked Nigerians to continue being resilient and tenacious. President Bola Tinubu has urged Nigerians to remain resilient and tenacious, assuring them that despite the challenges ahead, his administration was determined to cultivate a country that reflects the aspirations of all its citizens, a nation that resonates with pride, dignity, and shared success. The president spoke on Tuesday morning as Nigeria celebrated its 64th independence anniversary. Now, in this analysis by Kehinde Amodu, he notes that the speech was filled with repeated subjects from past speeches and no concrete assurances. Here's more.
As Nigeria sinks further into economic hardship, President Tinubu yet again has to undertake the difficult task of facing citizens with a scorecard that does not look too promising. The average citizen is looking for succor, but is still largely faced with promises that have not come to fruition. For instance, citizens had largely expected a pronouncement on the pump price of petrol, but the president chose to speak on federal government's willingness to assist the 36 states and the FCT in acquiring CNG buses for cheaper transportation.
Our energy transition program is on course. We are expanding the adoption of the presidential initiative on compressed natural gas for mass transit with private sector players.
Our President Tinubu struck a positive note by identifying with the central concern of citizens over the high cost of living and food costs. He stopped at only giving vague promises that the situation would be tackled.
This concern is shared by many around the globe as prices and the cost of living continue to rise worldwide. My fellow Nigerians, please be assured that we are implementing many measures to reduce the cost of living at home.
A key bone of contention that Nigerians have with President Tinubu is his economic reform programs, but the president is insisting that his economic team is on the right track.
We inherited a reserve of over 33 billion 16 months ago. Since then, we have paid back the inherited forex backlog of 7 billion. We have cleared the ways and means debt of over 30 trillion naira. We have reduced the debt service ratio from 97% to 68%. Despite all this, we have managed to keep our foreign reserve at 37 billion.
The president also announced his intention to convene a national youth conference to address the diverse challenges and opportunities confronting Nigeria's young people, who constitute more than 60% of the population.
The 30-day conference will unite young people nationwide to collaboratively develop solutions to issues such as education, employment, innovation, security, and social justice.
Despite the president's obvious attempt to rally Nigerians to support his administration, the speech showed a clear disconnect with the yearnings of citizens. While Nigerians expect a speech that will give them clear-cut answers to their hardship and timelines to resolution of these problems, they were treated to 23 minutes of ambiguity.
Welcome back. I'm sure you're wondering why I'm smiling. My guest here is he's been laughing and smiling as the story was being read. But yes, joining me to discuss this issue and more is Ambassador Bulus Lolo, a retired diplomat, so actually retired as a permanent secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Right.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Chiamaka. It's a pleasure to be back with you.
Okay, so you're laughing. Maybe so just let me allow you to get into it then.
Well, I mean, we have just celebrated the 64th independence anniversary of our country. And it has come in the backdrop of the End Bad Governance protest that swept through the country, and equally times in which Nigerians have been asking questions of their government. And as the background report, which you prefaced your program with, was going on, my smile was because of the views expressed by the presenter that the speech of Mr. President was full of ambiguities. Now, 2024 in Nigeria is a year that many will remember. The government came with the promise to renew hope, and Nigerians are still asking when that hope will be renewed. If prices keep rising every day, our naira is dropping against foreign currencies, and there is unemployment. Generally, the mood in the country is one in which people are asking, which way Nigeria? But it is equally a call to us as a people, as a country, to really step back from where we are and stop our pretense of thinking that everything is okay. You look at what governments are doing in states, government at the federal level, and that important level which is supposed to be the third tier of government, local government. It is this tier that I think is failing more than any other. But the failure of the local governments is not unconnected with the failure of the states and the federal level. Because if you have a municipality in which the people have the closest arm of government to them to feel the impact, deliver what is expected, then it will cascade. But if they fail, naturally, the impact will also be felt negatively. And that is why the expectation will always grow and will keep growing. But unless, and I said, we take a step back, look within us and admit that there are things that need to be done and done right, we are not going in the right direction. And we must correct our course. Failure to correct the course, when we have that collision, then we will say, oh, we've hit a wall. And perhaps that will be the time to start all over again.
All right, so I was going to ask you, I don't know if you listened to last year's speech, and no, apparently you've had the chance to listen to some parts of this year's speech. Have there been any significant progress or change from last year, in the last 1 year, basically?
It's hard to really say. Last year one would excuse a number of things.
Yeah, if he just came into power.
Because the government was relatively new.
6 months.
But now you have had that government in office for well over, they're into their second year, which is the midterm mark by May of 2025. And after 2 years, and let's not forget that it is a government of continuity. APC has been in power since 2015.
I know that it's supposed to be a government of continuity.
Why are you using the word supposed?
I'm not using the word supposed.
Yeah, it is. It is. APC is APC, unless you tell me that the party is different.
Okay, so we're looking at it from the party, not from the agendas and...
Why agenda? It is one party that has a platform.
Okay.
Different personalities to run the platform.
Okay.
Right? Now, if an APC administration succeeds another,
okay,
and it is based on the popular will of the people, what is the reason for the party being in power? It's one and one party. So it's an APC administration succeeding an APC administration, in fact, with the same dramatis personae. The present president was the national leader of the party before he came to office. And he engineered the government before his. So, what's new?
All right. So why I asked or paused on that was because at times you see them keep blaming the past administration. Oh, they did this. Oh, they did that. And if we were to see from it's our party, we are representing a party that has an ideology. Like, let's go over to America. The Democrats are known for certain things. They're liberals. And so the liberal agenda is being perpetuated going forward. The Republicans are conservative, so that's how you see, that. So exactly now will be the question: what does the All Progressives Congress stand for?
Do you remember, Chiamaka, that in 2015, right up to 2023, before the Buhari administration came to an end, the refrain was what? PDP government, PDP administration. Can we genuinely and truthfully today say APC administration or PDP? Do we want to blame the PDP? Because that's a distinctly different party altogether. But when you have APC succeeding APC, right, I think the blame should be less. But if we hear as if the administration that just left in ideology, in practice, and in name is separate from the present administration, I think it is a call for Nigerians to really go back and think and rethink the direction of our politics. I'm happy you brought in the example of the United States, where the Democrats are distinctly different in certain areas, because there are even elements of policies in America, regardless of which party is in power. For instance, respect for the Constitution, attitude towards some of their allies and alliances. There are red lines they do not cross. And therefore, whether you are a Democrat or a Republican, you will necessarily continue with them. I'm not saying there is no reason for the present administration not to look back at the immediate administration that they took over from. I'm not saying so. But let us not be too loud in our condemnation.
Okay. All right, so something you said now would quickly come up, I think, in our next story,
right,
where apparently, I hopefully will be in that story, or was maybe not taken into cognizance. But apparently, Nuhu Ribadu, NSA, was actually equally blaming the past administration for the rise of insecurity as of 2022. I would be thinking that it would be best that they present the united front. This is what's happening. This is what we intend to do. But it is what it is. Now, the security is a very big issue. And in the last few days, weeks, apparently, while on the news, I've had to read that, the troops are doing some great things in Zamfara. Troops are doing some great things in Niger State, and all that. What's your take on that? Because it's something he's celebrating as one of the highlights of the Independence Day.
Well, again, let's cast our minds back to the immediate past administration that came on a tripod. They had a policy to fight corruption, grow the economy, and fix our security challenge, or challenges, if I will use the plural. Now, if the National Security Advisor talks about the challenges that the current leadership inherited from their own administration, their own party, right? It only speaks to the depth and dimension of the security challenge we are facing in the country. So let us not kid about it. Let us not play politics about our security, because by and large, our well-being and our safety as Nigerians will depend largely on the level, extent, and quality of the security that we enjoy. And constitutionally, safety and well-being are the core responsibility of any government. It is in the Constitution, which is to say, you have no choice than to deal with it. Have no choice than to put it on your front burner. And you have no choice than to deliver. And when you don't deliver, then it means there's a problem. And I think whatever we're doing wrong about our security, we are all facing and paying the price.
All right, so one of the things, we're going to, just the last thing I want to touch on this matter, and then we'll go to the next story, will be the issue of, one of the things he mentioned was this National Youth Conference, he says, about to address national unity? I know the majority of the population, a large percentage of the population, are mostly youths. Is it timely? Because when we look at how this particular administration came into power, there's a lot of, well, I call it fractured lines, really, in sense of lines of tribes and, you know, and all that. So, you know, how do they want to go about getting people to believe in a national unity with a national youth conference?
I don't know the thinking that has informed the decision by the present administration to convene a youth conference, because national unity is not about age.
Yeah.
National unity is about the collective feeling of a people. National unity is about inclusivity, and national unity is about a common vision. Now, yes, we cannot ignore the Nigerian youths, but the Nigerian youths only make up part of the composition of Nigeria. I listened to and I read a statement by an organization calling itself the Coalition of Indigenous Middle Belt People, symbol by their name, in which they asked the president to go back to the confab of 2024. You see, we like always to repeat what has been done, but failing to act even when it is our watch. Now, the 2014 national confab that President Jonathan convened, report was submitted. Governor El-Rufai chaired a committee that reviewed for the APC administration. Somehow, the administration of President Buhari did not touch the report by way of implementation. And the present administration, I don't know its thinking. Now, if you convene the youth conference as Mr. President wants to do, then what about the others who are not within the bracket of youth? Would they have any views to express? Would they have any role to play? So for me, I think it is a time, and I hope government will see the wisdom of really taking those practical steps that will unite our country. And the unity of Nigeria, let me raise my voice, will come when we put very little on those mundane considerations that we have been using. Number one, religion is a private thing. And religion is between individuals, and if you believe in God, the God you believe in. Ethnicity, you can't do anything about yours, I can't do anything about mine. It should have nothing to do in the determination of opportunity and fortune and the challenges we face. Now, but if, as a people, we decide today that, you know what, we've tried these things and they've taken us nowhere, let us for once go out and say, merit, competence, excellence should drive our national development and transformation. Then perhaps we will get it.
Okay. All right, so we're going to go on a quick break, and when we come back, we will go into other conversations. Please do stay with us. Thank you for staying with us here on Africa Update. Now, let's get to these other conversation for today. Now, key security stakeholders across the Sahel gathered in Abuja to address the ongoing insecurity plaguing the region and explore viable solutions. The event was organized by the News Agency of Nigeria. The forum brought together policymakers, security experts, and diplomats to identify the triggers and propose strategies for civilizing the Sahel. Trust TV's Chifu Suleiman has more.
The first international lecture on insecurity in the Sahel, titled Insecurity in the Sahel 2008 to 2024, dissecting Nigeria's challenges, genesis, impacts and options, brought together leading experts to tackle the crisis. Key factors identified include socioeconomic hardships, environmental pressures, poor governance, and regional stability, all of which continue to fuel the insecurity threatening both Nigeria and the wider Sahel region.
At the heart of the insecurity in this region, among other factors, are the undercurrents of poverty, unemployment, proliferation of small arms and light weapons, weak governance, and institutional failures, as well as climate change and environmental degradation.
The collapse of the Libyan state in 2011, for instance, unleashed an influx of weapons and fighters, which catalyzed the rise of militant groups across the Sahel. Nigeria, as a critical player in the region, has borne a significant share of the fallout from this instability.
A secure Nigeria is a secure Sahel region because of our number, because of our size, because of our strategic position where we are. We are fixing Nigeria, and you will see it is going to translate into the other parts of our neighbors who are indeed facing challenges and difficulties.
With a population nearing 2 billion, enriched in sought-after mineral resources, the Sahel is becoming a magnet for non-state actors, experts warn. This growing interest underscores the urgent need for authorities to develop sustainable solutions to address the region's mounting challenges.
Society has a lot of role to play in fighting insecurity. It's not about the kinetic measures, it's not about the Nigerian armed forces, but we as the citizens and the society, we need to play a very critical role in addressing this issue by providing adequate information to the security agencies.
Because Nigerians, all of us, especially all of us in this hall, I believe, have seen large populations from either Niger or Chad moving into Nigeria, either one out of drought, insecurity, economic failure, or combination of both.
Despite efforts by the Nigerian government and its regional partners to tackle insecurity, rising poverty, unemployment, school dropouts, and deadly attacks by non-state actors reveal that much remains to be done. The situation continues to worsen, casting doubt on the effectiveness of current strategies.
So we know the Sahel has actually had a lot of issues, and we even see that 3 countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, have decided that they want to be on their own and left the ECOWAS. Now, they decided to have this conversation, and I was hoping to see somebody from those 3 countries discuss the Sahel issue. However, I didn't notice anybody from them. What do you have to say about that?
Well, as you know, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger are on a different track right now. They have exited ECOWAS, I don't know for good or temporarily. But the question of the Sahel defies and must not be seen along national boundary lines. It's the entire region. And for you to really understand where we are today in the Sahel, I would like to use, I think it was Ronald Reagan that talked about the window of vulnerability, which was created with the exit of Muammar Gaddafi. Like him, hate him. When Gaddafi was in power, he closed that window to a certain extent. But with the demise of Gaddafi, decimation of his government, today it's an open field where all manner of people are pitching their camps with minimal challenge. And insecurity, therefore, is affecting the entire region. It's very porous, and unless the governments all wake up, regardless of your own orientation, regardless of your national sensitivity, realizing that what affects Nigeria will ultimately affect Niger, what affects Niger will affect Burkina Faso along that corridor. That they had the conference without them, let the conveners explain.
All right, so now what exactly are the main governance challenges that in the Sahelian countries that have contributed to the region's instability?
Wow. Governance challenges? Generally, unless you govern yourself well, meet the needs of your people, you are already down. Okay? So, there is a lot of discontent. People's expectations have not been met. Poverty is way, way, way beyond reasonable limits. And therefore, if you have this type of combination, naturally you will have discontent. So there is discontent across the board. And governments are not meeting the needs of the people, either due to misapplication of resources or the lack of resources. Therefore, I feel that our challenges are multifaceted when it comes to governance, but the key must be let those who are in charge lead and lead their people well.
All right, just to wrap it up, final question. What specific measures can be taken to improve governance and reduce, if you can't take away corruption, but reduce corruption in the Sahel?
Respect for rule of law, constitutional order, subjecting oneself and being accountable, so that if you are given the mandate to rule and lead, then you will account for your stewardship. Don't go for using force to put yourself in power, but allow the people to express their will. And if that will is for you and with you, you will be the beneficiary. But once there, deliver the goods.
All right, thank you so much, Ambassador Lolo, for joining us today on Africa Update. It's been quite, as always, having you.
Thank you.
Educative and interesting.
Thank you very much.
Learned something. I hope you've understood better the workings of what's happening on the African continent. My name is Chiamaka Nwanfor. Until I see you same time, same place next week. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms and on our YouTube live stream. Take care.